I think let's start without delay because those who cannot attend, they can view the YouTube video. Okay, shall we start? Manish, Vijaya, and others.
Yes, sir. We can start now.
Sir, we can. Yes.
So earlier, I think all of you know that we have covered 6 units that includes politics of migration, policies, and theory like how to define migration, how to define diaspora, and its relation with globalization. Today, I'll be talking about economic impact of migration. So this is very important because all of you know migration is just not migrating of a human being, but it carries lot many things with them, including the skills, knowledge, even capital, memories, culture, everything. Okay. So when the human being migrates, it carries all these things. Who are going from one country to another, other than refugee and forced migration? It is the willful migrant, like those are highly educated people not getting job, like from IIT, from IIM, from universities, they're going to other countries in search of job. So this segment actually very much important for economy. So briefly, I divided this presentation into introduction, globalization and migration and its interlinkage with development, diaspora entrepreneurship, investment, remittance, diaspora philanthropy, knowledge, technology transfer, and international trade. Then I'll be giving some example of Indian and Chinese diaspora. Then I'll conclude. So in the introduction, I just, as I mentioned already, human being migrate with all this, culture, memory, skills, knowledge. And when they go to other country, they also interact, which result in hybridization, acculturation, assimilation, innovation, and also challenges. It is not that so easy. Even assimilation is a difficult process. Acculturation also difficult process. Anything, even if you see, forget about human being, even a dog crosses one state to another, other dogs, they don't allow them. So human beings also, they face the challenge of cultural territory, psychological territory, economic territory, political territory. They also face same challenge like animal kingdom. So these are very difficult, but once it has a positive impact, it results in innovation, it results in many good things like people go from democracy to autocracy, they can change the autocracy also. Okay. So these are all several contributions, political level, cultural level, economic level. I'll talk more on the economy, but these are all various levels how migration facilitates, resulting overall human progress. Okay, and contribute to the home and host country and also global economy. This is the final result. So globalization and migration, when you talk about, actually migration operates in a broad system, which actually there are several systems, several theories that explain why entire globe how it operates. One such theory is world system theory. This theory propagated by Immanuel Wallerstein, it sees entire world as a system, and powerful nations are core, less powerful are periphery. Here the powerful in the terminology of economy and migration, you can say the north, global north, which are very powerful, which constitute Europe, America, developed countries like Australia, Canada, and all this. And they set the terms and conditions for entire world. Okay, and they actually play like a core, and they attract the best of the best thing in the entire world. Best of the best thing in terms of capital, in terms of natural resource, in terms of the human capital also. Human beings, you see, even the Europe also facing problems. When you talk about world system, the most powerful system will attract less powerful system, but each of them also has center and periphery. So like USA is the biggest influential world system, then comes, Europe, then other country. So entire world is a system. There will be a big system which control the entire world. There will be sub-system which control the periphery, smaller peripheries. So there will be multiple systems within the big system. So this is very important to understand how they control the world capital, human capital and economic financial capital. So then this actually governed, if you see last 200 to 300 years since the colonization, this is what happening. Once you are colony, you have no control. You are operated by the colonizer. So past 200 years, it was the Europe which controls the world. Then it is America last at least 80 years, 90 years, which controls the world economy to a large extent. Now we have many center, many periphery. Like even China is also emerging. Even smaller states like Singapore, Hong Kong, they are also emerging as core within the Asian economy. So this is what is happening, and this is actually drive the globalization, and countries' economy fall into that. Even culture also fall into that. We all, now you see, because of globalization, we got many new food culinary, like Maggie. I think during my childhood, nobody knew what is Maggie. Now everybody knew. Indian food also you can find in London, in New York, and everywhere. So this is what happening with the globalization, and this world system is actually driving this. So the consumption pattern, consumerism, global corporations, industrial trade, all these are operated in that system. And migration is seen as actually one of the response to that global system. Great transmissional flows and circulation of people, goods, services, information, and capital, creating new global division of labor and ever-expanding deterritorialized communities bound together by social ties, economics, and transactions across more complex. This is a globalization, you can see. We even watch Hollywood today. We are talking about Twitter, Facebook, all social media. Who is controlling? Again, it is coming to that world system. Okay, so entire social media is controlled by few people who are again living in the powerful nation like USA, and they are controlling what we think, what we eat, what we behave, everything. So not just human capital, financial capital, but our psychology also controlled by them. So the process of globalization has also reduced transportation and communication costs drastically, thereby enabling human migration. You see, earlier, if you remember, during colonial time, those are familiar with the indentured labor and all. Ships used to go for 3 months, 4 months to reach Trinidad, Tobago, and other countries. Okay, now that problem is solved. People can just book ticket and next day they will be somewhere. Next few hours. So that is how globalization created not just capital flow. This technology also, which interlinked everything, including television, films, and all. It actually made the world into a network, which everything flows in real time. Finance also, if I transfer from New York to here, it takes 1 minute. Earlier it used to take, people used to send remittance, it takes months. Even within India, we know postal, what is that postal service we call? Money. transfer during postal. It takes 15 days if I send from here to my native place. But now things have changed. So this is that globalization brought, and migration actually is a mutual reinforce on each other to sustain this world system. Because migration, if you see, nobody, even though we love India, this, that, not many will return because they have already made infrastructure. Why somebody will return from New York to Delhi? Not many, very few. Even though they say we love India, this, everything, it is very difficult because lifestyle, culture, everything changes. Okay. Then, when we talk about globalization, its impact on migration, JICA and the Hans has identified, actually globalization worked in threefold manner. One is technological change, which has lowered the resource constraint on mobility. Earlier, people used to go by foot. When we study history, either ship or by walk or horse or whatever, people travel. Even the war also, conflict also happened like this. Very difficult to cross this country so easily. People will come by what you must be knowing when people shift the capital like Delhi to Dodabad, like when Alexander came, they all came by walk or horse or what. There is no other. Now you don't need that missiles, aeroplanes, all this. You don't need to go physically. If you want to go also, you can go in hours. So this is what happening. This mobility cost is highly reduced, time highly reduced. So because of that, migration became easy. Though there are restrictions, I'll talk in other units about what kind of migration is restricted. We will talk about more about policy, visa, and all this. That is a different thing. I'll talk later. But when people want to migrate, their mobility cost is reduced now. Then strengthen migrant worker and transnational ties. Actually, this is also very important. Why people go to Dubai, Gulf country? Malayalis go to Gulf country. Now Bihar and UP people are going. Whoever going, how they are going. They develop a social network. And once that is developed, you will bring your near and dear, your village people, your neighbor, and that is how the migration happens. Migration is very much facilitated by social network and social ties. Okay, everywhere, almost without any, these things, social ties are very important. Transportation technology also important, but social ties are sometimes it helps for mass migration. Okay. Increase literacy and education alongside improved global information. Now, unlike earlier time, we have information about, suppose you want to go to Canada, we know everything about Canada. Just Google what are the options, job opportunity, sectors, various sectors in Canada. You can apply job, and earlier it was very difficult. Okay, many people don't know about the country, about the facilities, about the opportunities and all. So these are all very important to driver of migration, you can say. It helps. We talk about today many people going to Europe, though they don't know the language, because there is a demand for jobs. So they can learn language for a few months and they can go. So that is how Philippines actually trains their human resource. India also doing slowly, but because we have a huge human resource, we need to plan better. Then transnational capitalist class or TCC, its impact. We all talk about now Walmartization, flexibilization, and also gig economy. These are all concepts you all are familiar now. If Uber stops its application, millions of drivers will be jobless within a second. Okay, Similarly, any application stops for some time, whether it is Food Panda or anything, it is gone. Their jobs are gone in a fraction of second. So this is the danger of gig economy. Okay, short-term contract, freelance work, these are increasing. There is no job security, and the companies like Walmart and all big corporate, they can change the overnight. They change the location and completely nobody knows. They can stop the operation in a country. They go to another country which offers cheap labor. Okay, so this is what happening, and this actually possible because of migrant labor, because migrant labor have no rights. Many within the country also same thing we face. Many of these industry, they recruit migrant labor because they cannot protest, they cannot do any organized way, because they are migrant. They can come, they can go tomorrow, they will be searching job elsewhere also, and they are also very much in crisis always. Tomorrow is a danger always, how to survive tomorrow. So they don't have that that kind of thing that they should protest on job loss, less money. Recently we also hear wage theft. Okay, these are all happening. During COVID, many corporates didn't pay money in Gulf and elsewhere also. And the migrant workers won't protest because they think that if they protest, they will be in more danger. There is no, migrant workers, they don't get support of local government, they don't have citizenship rights. So this is how this kind of work culture is developing. Flexibilization, Walmartization, and gig economy, that those kind of things. And if you see even USA, Canada, even you see just 2 days back, 43 people died. I think in USA somewhere. Manish, you have heard this 43 people died inside a container.
Yeah,
USA, sir,
Mexico,
Moscow.
sir.
So these are all migrants, they're escaping.
And before that, there was in the UK, it was there where some Vietnamese people have frozen, these
Yes.
kind of event keep on coming. They are nothing new. Yeah.
That's what, and this is going to a more developed country like USA, where you may think it is a very organized country. They give only good kind of employment, but underbelly there will be so many people who work with less money, and that is how the company want, but they hide them. The moment they are caught, it is not company's fault. It is the migrant who will go to jail. So like that, these are all the side effect, of the globalized economy, which actually always crave for cheap labor, but cheap labor come with a cost to migrant. I'll be talking about, when we talk about migration and development, 4 areas are very important, and they actually cut across. You cannot separate them because they are very much they are intersecting each other. First one is social capital. Social capital, as I mentioned, I'll talk more elaborately when I talk about diaspora investment and all. Social capital is very important. When you go to another country, you always go through network. You develop a network, you go through your family or friendship or your alumni network or ethnic network or that. So this social network is very important. It can be, if promoted positively, it can be a very good thing for country, home country also, because we see diaspora investment and all, it comes through social capital. Okay, alumni network, ethnic network, hometown association, all these are social capital, and through that you find diaspora investment, remittance, and all this coming to the home country. Second is financial capital. This is also very important because you need finance for investment, finance for survival, finance for everything. So migration also very much important for generating financial capital, because if we see the migrants are who? They are working class population. 20 to 45 or so. After that, people don't migrate so much. They migrate as family. This thing is some kinds of dependent. Getting job is very difficult after 45 in many sectors. So usual, these are very working population, youthful population, and they contribute a lot. Wherever they go, they are in very sector or every sector, research to IT sector to driver to everything. This 20 to 45, that work age, and they contribute a lot. They create capital. They create, new investment. They create remittance. They send. This is the financial capital this migrant create. Okay, and I'll talk more on that, but just let's go one by one. Human capital. Human capital is that is also very important. When you go out, we call that as brain drain. Okay. Then they do with social capital, they do brain network or brain chain. Then with social capital, cultural capital, they come back to home country as brain gain. So this is a brain is important, when you go from India to USA, for example, you got the best education, but that is not enough to get a job. When you go another country, you gain new experience, new knowledge, new skills. Okay, all these again is very important. Simply IIT person cannot be entrepreneur immediately. Today you see Satya Nadella or whoever, they have gone as soon after student. They got few years of job, then they got the experience. After that, they got entrepreneurial skill and all this. So these are all human capital developed, okay, over time. And when they come back, there are return side also. This segment is very important. So many countries like India also did very well during 90s, harvesting this human capital in IT sector, in healthcare and all. So this is very important. Then cultural capital. Cultural capital is what? You have, you see, today you find the culture is like we call in diplomacy soft power. Okay?
Yeah.
Soft power. Culture, that's why America invests a lot of money on Hollywood so that they can project themselves as globally, superpower. They are the hero. Chinese and Russians are villains. Okay. Hollywood movie can project American as hero and aspirational society. We aspire for that. So this is a cultural, soft power. India also.
Another thing I will like to add here, as far as the first three are there, yes, they are capital when we are migrating to other country. But as far as cultural capital is there, in certain cases, it can also become cultural liability. For example, I am going to a country where my home country culture is not welcome, then those people will not like it. Not like that. Certain cultural practices, traditions are there. The host country may not like that. In the present context, if you see that the word is, Islamophobia is a term very often used. So in that cases, that can become a liability out there.
No, actually, see, it can be, there is no full proof that it can be liability someplace, it can be an opportunity somewhere else. Okay, the entire world you find most places are also not welcome. Germany doesn't welcome. Many European countries, they are hostile. Okay, you have to assimilate. But cultural capital, I'm talking in the sense, it can, like I told about Hollywood, same is Indian yoga, many cultural things, even our food culture, music, Bollywood and all, it can help as a, you can earn also money. Bollywood earns lots of money, okay, from overseas, and it creates impact. If you don't consider Indian diaspora, you go to Russia also, they watch Hindi movie. Go to Vietnam, Indian series are going on. They don't understand most of the Hindi, but they watch. Okay, these are all cultural capital. It helps us not just on financial capital, but it creates a kind of soft power. So this is very important. I will explain that liability is subject to, it can come and go also. It some context, it is a liability, but you see, it has to adjust to its situation. If you have a, you see, some of the top entrepreneurs across the world, they're from, Muslim, you know, same Jews are topmost entrepreneurs. Jews are also not welcome in many countries. Okay. Now Indians are emerging some of the topmost entrepreneurs in Europe and America. Not don't think they are always welcome. They must be struggling also. Okay. US also many times they targeted Punjabis and all because of turban and all. So these are all, it will go side by side. You have to play, world is not such a plain place where you, whatever your aspiration, you get a welcoming place. It is, some people get more, welcome, better welcome. Some people get offensive. It is like that. Economy goes in its own way. Politics goes in another way. It is there all the time. Okay. So these are the four important capitals which migration can lead to development. Okay, in this kind of, it enriches all these four capitals. So then we find migration also, as per OECD migration policy debates, the impact of migration in three key areas are as follows. Okay, one is labor market. Okay, migration actually sometimes equilibrium, it maintains equilibrium, balancing the labor market. For example, we talk about India. It has lots of educated unemployed. Where they will go? Only safety valve is migration. If they cannot go, our country cannot. We may talk about, even Chinese people are going abroad. In spite of, they have so much employment generation within the country. So India, at least last 200-300 years, unemployment is the prime factor for migration. Last 300 years, you can say. During colonial time, it was a major, reason for migration. Combining with untouchability, poverty, and other things, famine, even post-independence, this is the only, unemployment is the only major cause of migration. Okay, so it often maintains labor market equilibrium by, migration can work as a safety valve. Migration also contribute to the public purse, in the sense migration. Just imagine a person with high educated, with good skill, he doesn't get unemployment. What is the use of his life? It will be useless. So if we migrate only, find an appropriate job, whether it is in Gulf, America, or elsewhere, he may contribute, he will be contributing to the public by paying taxes to the government of home country, host country, wherever, okay? And sending remittance. The persons can be economically, productive if they migrate, okay? Then it will contribute to economic growth. Migration increases the working age population and hence economic growth. So overall economic growth, you find migration is the major contributor of global GDP. Okay, today if we talk to any developed country, their major backbone is migrants. USA, you take healthcare, 40% of their workforce are migrants. We talk about NASA and many other, segments. In fact, the entire USA, immigrants are everywhere, every sector. Okay, so if they come back, USA will collapse. So this is what my point is. Migration actually has a lots of positive role to play. It brings equilibrium to labor market. It contributes to public purse. It also be contributor to the global development. Migration and economy. Migration creates a strong positive effect on GDP per capita. As per evidence, 75% of migrants are under the working age population. Unlike the stable population, if you go to any village, you see every family you see only a family of 10 people, 1 or 2 people will be working. Okay, old father, mother will be there, wife will be there. They will be working, but their work is not counted. Children will be going for education. But when you compare to that stable population with the migrant population all will be working, almost 75%. Okay, it's a very high percentage. Just imagine a Manish is staying in Mumbai. His wife, everybody will be working, maybe except kids. But compare with your family back home in UP, not many will be working there. Only one person will be working and many will be dependent. Average I'm talking, there will be exceptional, but average village and stagnant population, working population will be very less, working age population. Whereas the migrant population, working age population is very high. So that is the advantage of the country which is allowing them to work, because now we see GCC country, America, Australia, they are only prospering because of migrants, because all the people are working there. Nobody is just dependent there. Then migration improves output of per worker by increasing human capital level. It also improves the output per worker. If we say if per worker productivity in USA, we always call that within US also Chinese are highly productive, so they have a different reward. Then comes Indian, we have little lesser than Chinese level, per capita output. So these are all global standards. The same if you go to rural Orissa or rural UP, people will be working for 4 or 5 months. They will be just playing another 4 or 5 months. So the kind of work output is very less. If you go to rural area and then stagnated population, most people will be laid back. They earn something, they'll enjoy. They don't need to create more output, more work, more saving and all. But whereas migrant person, they do everyday work, almost no holiday for some people. Okay, I interacted with some people in Gulf. I think those are working in government sector, they get 1 month holiday, but those are getting private, they may not get even 7 days holiday per year, 7 days to 15 days. So all the year they will be working, so output will be very high. So this is what they contribute with their own sacrifice. Okay, migration increases the rates of innovation. In the sense, migration, as I mentioned, innovation in every field, cultural innovation, financial, every level innovation, technological. If we go to Silicon Valley, most of them are migrants. Okay, that is one of the topmost innovative place in the world, and most of them are migrants. Almost 60 to 70% are immigrant population, entrepreneurs there. So now I'll be talking about migration or diaspora and their economic engagement. So there are 4 major areas of economic engagement. One is entrepreneurship and investment. Then second is remittances. Third is philanthropy. Fourth is knowledge, technology transfer, and international trade. When you talk about entrepreneurship and investment, let me talk about two major diaspora. One is Chinese diaspora, another is Indian diaspora. Okay, let's go to Chinese diaspora. Actually, Chinese diaspora will be around 40 to 50 million if you count everything. Okay, and they are spread across every country almost. Okay, and mostly if you see Chinese diasporas are spread in the neighboring countries. Okay, like Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, then even Philippines, South Korea, Myanmar, Vietnam, like this. Okay, this you see. The red one is Chinese, and the the blue color, this is blue. This other color is Indian diaspora. We see the concentration of Chinese diaspora. They are all close to China only. Okay, large majority, and others are very less. Russia, Britain, Canada, United, Peru, Australia. There are two major destinations today is Australia and Canada. They are also huge in number, but their major concentration you see, they are all close to China only, mainland China. I'll talk why they are very successful in economically. This is because of this close proximity. Okay, I'll come to that, but before that, let's talk about diaspora investment. As I mentioned, the major innovative hub wherever global entrepreneurship are coming last at least 30 years. Silicon Valley is one of among them. So there, the ethnic immigrant communities and Indian, especially Indian and Chinese, you find even other immigrants are there the more. Okay, and they actually create the innovative, because immigrants, they bring new kind of social capital and other capital also, cultural and all. That is very important also. And this analyst Saxenian also studied that even this is very helpful because it actually helps the entrepreneurship back home. 40% of the companies started in Taiwan's science-based industrial park are expatriate from Taiwanese. They are also Chinese diaspora. When I call Taiwanese, Hong Kong, Singaporean, you can say that they are Chinese diaspora, because Chinese diaspora is an ethnic diaspora. We are not talking about a political diaspora. Okay, political China. So these are all Chinese diaspora, and many of them are expatriates. Same with India's Bangalore, Hyderabad, we call, they are also returning, and they mostly in IT sector. Okay, FDI, when you compare Chinese diaspora during some kinds of estimates done by Gevan, one author, he mentioned that 70% of China's recent foreign direct investment are from Chinese diaspora members. Just imagine when we are going to country to invite American investors, other investors to come to India. Chinese, their leaders, they don't go because their own people are investing so much. Okay, they don't need to spend money going to other country and asking for investment, because they have already almost every top 500 MNC you take, all have Chinese investment, okay, in China. But country like India, we are struggling to invite investment because there are so many infrastructural, skill level and other issues. But their diaspora can play a very big role. But unfortunately, Indian diaspora only invest 3% compared to 70% Chinese diaspora. There are reasons also, especially Chinese diaspora is not a labor type of diaspora. Okay, Chinese diaspora is entrepreneurs diaspora. They are already traders for centuries. Okay, So their level of economic engagement is far better than Indian diaspora. But recently, last 30-40 years, Indians are also emerging as entrepreneurs. But that is a very small population compared to Chinese entrepreneurs. It's very small. If you take, I'll give an example also. But before that, you see the geographical, strategy. If you see, I was just comparing why Chinese diaspora investment is more in mainland China. If you see all the SEZ, okay, SEZ, ETZ means so economic and technological development zone, knowledge hub, okay, economic hub, all these are, you see, close to Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore, this area where ethnic Chinese can come from all these places and invest in China. These are the border area you can see. Okay, all their other places you have also SEZ, but majority of Chinese SEZ are here only. Okay, Macau, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Japan, all these places close to China. So this place actually create not only logistical support for sea route, but land route and air route and everything to close to Chinese ethnic population. And one important thing about Chinese, they may be hostile to China politically, but they all are economically driven. Okay, even the Chinese diaspora, majority of them are actually prosecuted by China. If you go long back during Mao Zedong and all, many left China because of political persecution. They went to Malaysia, they went to other countries just to escape the Chinese, because Chinese communists were not tolerant about other non-communists. Okay, but today if you see, they are the biggest investor in China. Okay, because economic, if some Indian diaspora will come to India, in spite of love, affection to India, and he cannot do a business properly, better to go another place where he can do business, whether he like that country or not. Okay, so this is how China still scores, and it is doing very well in terms of economy, investment, and all these areas. Okay, so if you compare the Chinese diaspora, it is a little larger size than India. If you take into account all the countries I mentioned, and their all economic zones are closely located to diasporic population in Hong Kong, Taiwan, and all this. Okay. So if you see the India's software export and all, also China's, all this is largely because of diaspora professionals, and it is impacting the IT sector. Okay, especially IT sector. So these are all, if you see new diasporic entrepreneur investment, IT actually is the largest area, even for Chinese diaspora also, Indian diaspora also. When you talk about Indian diaspora, again, it is around 32 million, but there are different data also. But you take all close circle, like those who gone long back to Sri Lanka, Myanmar, and all this you put together, it will be around 30+ million. Okay, and if you see that,
sir, for example, in Sri Lanka, the original Sinhalese people has migrated from Orissa.
there is some history. Yes, there is some
So
history.
are you is this list treat them as the migrant themselves, diaspora?
See, they have cut off the relation completely. There is no proper history also. There are some, like you from Orissa, we don't have proper history about Bali. Okay, but we every year ritualistically we celebrate Bali Yatra. Okay, but people have gone from Orissa to Bali. There are some you can identify, but there is no proper history, and now they may not also accept we are Oriya, because they have no relation actually. But if you see the names, they are matching. Orissa, some names and Shimalis, some names are matching. Okay. So there are some ways you can, but there are no linkages actually, continuous linkages. That's why it is a problem. See, in 2002, there was only 3% of, it is a high time of diaspora, because IT sector was booming in Bangalore and this, that. In the high time, only 3% investment was by Indian diaspora, which is compared to 70% where 3% stands, which is nothing. Okay. So this is the diaspora, but we have other like knowledge transfer and other. Indian diaspora played a very important role. Philanthropy has played. But so far as investment is concerned, we have to learn a lot from Chinese, how they attracted the Chinese diaspora investment. Okay. India has recorded highest ever annual FD inflow of USD 83.57 billion in the financial year 2021-22, and the same period almost China invited 181 billion US dollar. Just imagine 181 billion and 70% of that are Chinese themselves. Okay, overseas Chinese. It's a huge, and that's why they have grown very big in size of economy. India is struggling to reach 4 trillion, but China has already reached close to 18 trillion US dollar. Yes, Harjinder, you want to ask something?
Sir, one point, if we consider the investment by the Chinese entrepreneurs and the Indian entrepreneurs in their own country, then we see from the data that the Chinese are contribute very
Harjinder,
high.
Audio issue. I'm little, it is a heavy sound.
Am I audible, sir? No. Am I audible now?
Yes.
Sir, one point is also very important when we compare the India and China in terms of their role of diaspora and economic investment. If we see the basic infrastructure, level of basic infrastructure in China, I think it has developed at a very high rate. The development level of basic infrastructure, the roads, the planned cities in China, they are planning something different as comparison to India. I think India is in some transforming stage.
That's true. I agree, completely agree.
Now we are trying to develop our basic infrastructure, and I think after a decade or after 1.5 decades, the Indian diaspora will come with a huge investment in India when they see the opportunities.
See, Indian diaspora, anytime they can come, but we have to set our home in order. As you mentioned, that Chinese diaspora, China infrastructure is far superior. Even the speed train is almost 50,000 kilometers. I have gone by train also, 300 plus speed per hour, and that cross means that the network is more than 50,000. We are struggling with 500 kilometers. Okay, so there is a lot many things. Not just you take university education, you take the ranking. Chinese universities are coming almost in the 120 universities are coming. In India, we are struggling to get one. So these are all skill level, infrastructure, and kind of government, support. You see, in India, state government conflict with central government, within government, there is policy change very frequently. All this matter for an investor because they should not, get into all this legal and all this so much. They, even anything, if you see, investor want smooth functioning. They don't want to legal hassles. They don't want to, please the political parties very often. If they want to do business globally, why they'll come to a country where always conflict and all these are there. My point is China in that sense is a better investor destination compared to Africa, some parts of Latin America and Asia. Okay, so that's why not only their own people are coming, I'm saying top 500 MNC also, each company they have presence in China. So this is the thing. And if you see today, Chinese 248 companies are listed in NASDAQ. NASDAQ, you know, the New York Stock Exchange. Whereas in India, hardly 15 are there. Because you need a big size also, and you need to overseas operation also. That means almost 250 companies, Chinese companies have overseas operation. Okay. Whereas we have only 15 companies like Tata, what is the Infosys, Wipro. I was seeing the list of who are in the NASDAQ, and this is because of again their overseas operation. Okay, Make My Trip, some of these companies, HDFC and all. But Chinese, you have 248, mind blowing, so many billionaire, trillionaire you can say. Okay, so they have a size completely different, you just see their size of economy, 3.12. Okay, we are expecting, but they have already reached 18 trillion in 2021. Okay, 18, almost 6 times larger than our size. So this is the size they are operating, and it is obviously if you have rail, road, sea route, everything. And today, if you see the biggest infrastructure project, BRI, it is not USA, it is China's project. Okay, those have gone to China, Hong Kong, and all these places. I have gone. The projects are global, globally mind-blowing project. The sea connecting 44 kilometers from Hong Kong to Macau to China. Okay, all above the sea. These are all, country like even India we cannot think of. We are struggling with 500 kilometer metro. Okay, so 500 kilometer bullet train. So this is the thing, and that too we are borrowing money. It is not our more money. So I'm talking about the reality. Investor, whether it is diaspora, whether it is other than diaspora, they need a economically viable, stable, and infrastructurally very sound and educationally skilled manpower. All these are. So that is how China scores, and that is why the Chinese diaspora, though many of them are politically hostile to China, they are also investing. Okay, if you see the Malaysian Chinese. Now Malaysian Chinese are 20% of Malaysia population. And if you see Malaysia finance minister, major companies, all are Chinese now. And once upon a time, they are hostile to China. Now also they are hostile politically. Okay? Because Malaysia is not communist. But when it comes to investment, they are investing in China because they can make profit. There is no ideological problem, there is no other problem, but economy is economy. I'm saying corporate needs profit. If you show them how they'll make profit, they'll come. Then, if you see some other area, India is very good in that terms, but if you see who are they? India is receiving 83 billion US dollar as remittance. China is far below India, Mexico is then, but we have a large population of working as a labor class, who are giving remittance. Manish?
Their relatives are there who are sending remittances.
Especially those who are staying back, their relative. It is not Satyanadala or, they'll give remittance. It is the poor migrant gives remittance because they cannot stay there and they have to come back. So this size is very big in India. That's why we are scoring very high in terms of remittance. China is less, Mexico is further less because their population also very less. Okay, but if you see the percentage, they may be better than ours. If you see, okay, percentage of remittance to their GDP. Like Philippines, Bangladesh will be having better percentage of remittance to their GDP than India because their remittance is quite significant being a small country. Bangladesh population is how much less than India? It's very less. It is like UP or little less than UP even. It is like West Bengal, you can say. Okay. So, and they are giving almost $21 billion, which is quite better than India if you see percentage wise. So this is what I'm saying. Remittance also, it's a kind of economic this thing contribution of migrant to their home country, but it can be utilized very better way. This is actually much less explored area because many of these migrants, they are not entrepreneurs. They are just sending money which they earn because of their hard work. So they don't have saving culture. Somewhere, I think many countries, they are doing good. Bangladesh, especially Philippines, they have a very good way to make this remittance money as investment. But in India, it is happening, but still we need to have better, system. Then trade and commerce, you see, this is also very important area. You see, as I mentioned, trade and commerce, diaspora population can be a consumer also. It can facilitate trade and commerce in culture, in every other area. Okay. You see, the soft power I was talking about, yoga, it also can give employment, ethnic product. If you go abroad, many countries, they have Little India, which actually the marketplace, which consumes India, taste, food, dress, everything about India. So these are all, facilitate, this can facilitate trade and commerce. And there are to and fro also, it can facilitate. So this I just gave one example, how you can channelize, mobilize the diaspora support for investment, for philanthropy, for remittance, for any crisis management through cultural association, alumni group. If you go to IIT, Delhi site, Bombay site, you find lots of, diaspora philanthropy by their own alumni. Okay. You just visit, you see, they have pages for alumni and you can find their contribution. Some alumni contributed to build the hostels, some gave a lab, and like this, you go to IIT Delhi and Bombay and Kharagpur, you find. I think Kharagpur receives more than other also. But you just go and see, you'll find how diaspora philanthropy also works. And these are all policy framed by Migration Policy Institute, where you can facilitate more diaspora engagement in the area of economy, like creating legal framework for positive engagement, developing and creating diaspora-centered institutions, like ministry and other, implementing programs to leverage diaspora for development, some kinds of diaspora facility. Okay, develop a roadmap for translating diaspora's promise into reality. So these are some of the area where you can legally, policy-wise, you can facilitate diaspora and their contribution to home country. And this is a very complex map. You see how various level you can build trust with diaspora, mobilize various stakeholders within the civil society, diaspora and government so that they can interact. Then you can make them knowledge platform, they should know about them. Census also should have diaspora population size and all. Then you have to have some common goal so that you can interact and find a commonality where you can engage. So this is very important. And I'll stop here, but I send you the PPT, and the unit has lots of reference. You can read them, and many more things we can talk, but I'll stop here. Okay. I just some other links I also developed. I gave here Chinese stock exchange company, in Nasdaq and India. So these are all some of the major companies which are listed in foreign exchanges, US investor because of diaspora only. Okay. Okay, I'll stop here. Any question or I'll stop here.
Sir, I want to share that as you have shared this the remittances, various Chinese, Indian. So it is a very good. It could be a very good topic of research as per million. How much is the remittances and what are the dependent determinants of that? Which factor are affecting more? Right. For example, if we for example, you rightly said that the Bangladesh percentage wise it will be very higher than India. Okay, so one of the things will be how much is the diaspora. Can we arrive at a coefficient of how much a diaspora is connected to his host country, home country? For example, some community may feel strongly connected, some people may feel less connected, and based on that they are sending the remittances. So it could be a very big area of study.
Remittance symbolizes that there is a strong connection. Okay, investment not necessarily a strong connection, but remittance comes to family only. Okay, that means they have a strong family connection. Maybe they have the first generation migrant. Maybe they don't have citizenship right at host country. So many factors. That's why GCC country together they give more remittance than other places, because these are all they cannot be citizen of that country. Okay, so these are so many factors we'll discuss as we go.
And as far as India is concerned, the remittances are tax free at the hand of the recipient. I am not aware about the tax structure in other countries. So that could be also.
Yes. Abha want to ask question. I'll together I'll address. Abha?
Yeah, sir, I just wanted to know, many of the state governments are encouraging people to contribute to certain activities. Like, I'll just give you an example. In Orissa, the government launched a scheme called Mo School, My School. So any of the people who have gone outside the state and even internationally can contribute to the school. Let's say 10,000 rupees if I give, the government will give additional 20,000, means twice the amount. And with the 30,000, the school can develop some infrastructure or buy some equipments and other things. Where does that come? It is not remittance, but it is not even a direct investment.
No, this is a kind of encourage. It is, see, Abha, this is investment in skill and knowledge. See, government cannot do alone, and it is the biggest investment I can say. If I invest in university, another 1 year they'll be, already they're in working age group. If I invest in high school, it takes time, but this is investment in education and skill.
But will it get captured somewhere? Because I'm sure that person, person would be investing directly to the school kitty. So where does that find in the terms of when you do an economic analysis?
No, this is a philanthropy. It is not investment for him. The diaspora person not investing. It's a philanthropy, but it is an investment for the home country in a very, like mobilizing the diaspora philanthropy for investment. You see, these are all interrelated in many ways. Like why somebody come from Silicon Valley and help the startups in India. You have seen many, even including Vinod Dham and many other from Silicon Valley who invented the Pentium chip. Okay. They came and, almost 50, 60 Bangalore startups are sponsored by him. Why they do? because this is a long-term investment for him, and this is the booming sector. IT sector is very booming sector, and it really gave result because many of them they can afford also. For a person who gives 10,000 to their high school, I don't think he needs return for that. It's a satisfaction. That I mind, this is more school. Okay. It's a philanthropy recognition, and he may be invited to their high school. He may get self-satisfaction of that recognition. So recognition also very important. People get to give money for recognition. Here he is getting directly recognition. And you see, most of the companies, those who do philanthropy, don't think their money is going waste. You know who is investing more in philanthropy? Like Amazon owner. Today I was just seeing Mark Bezos, what is his name? Amazon head. So he is maximum money, even Microsoft, Bill Gates also. Don't think they are just doing philanthropy, because this is how they actually capture people's mind. Okay, they keep you, this is a soft power again. So this is philanthropy is a backdoor investment, you can see. Okay, so thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
welcome.
Just I will like to answer this, ma'am, your question, ma'am, our ma'am.
Yes.
She was concerned that where this will reflect. As far as remittances are there, we have very good setup. Every year we can claim where it is there. This may reflect in the FCRA contribution, because if any organization is receiving contribution from abroad, then it will
No.
reflect in the FCRA.
Manish, it doesn't get into an FCRA because what is happening is, I mean, I'm a student of one thing and I can afford, I can give I just said 10,000, but they can give $1,000 or maybe a $2,000 to the school. It may be in Indian rupees, not necessary in the US dollars, but it is directly to the school kitty, not through an organization. So that is how I was just thinking, because it's an investment still. It's an investment by diaspora. My sister is in US. She comes and gives her money to, or tells me, Didi, give it to the school on her behalf. So I was just thinking, how do we capture that? So that was the only.
If it is the local currency, then it will become tough.
Okay, so we had a good discussion. We'll keep trying, but I'm little bit going slow. Once the fast course is over, we'll go very fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sir, another thing is that to be very frank, sir, I have already done other courses of IGNU.
Okay.
Like previously, I done postgraduate diploma in international business or operation. It was very useful course. The thing I want to say that if I receive hard copy, then probably I can dedicate some time and do it. Yeah.
Manish, all this will be done by end of July, because the material is almost ready, and printing doesn't take more than 1 week. Okay. Actually, I was forced to do very quickly. I could have introduced next semester by now, but quickly we have done, but a little bit, be bear with me. But,
and another thing, sir, I will like to share, maybe other my colleagues may agree, that when we are writing assignment, if we read only that subject and then write assignment, as compared to if we read the whole entire, all the books and read assignment, so other option gives better result. So that we can talk about the interconnected issue.
That is true.
Yeah. So how I want to write the assignment, I want to first read the entire course content, and then I want to prepare my assignment. I have got very good marks, maybe more than 80 marks in the last my assignment.
Manish, I agree with you. We need to have a holistic understanding, but most of the material, if we not IGNU material also, you find online. That is not a problem, because the people who prepared this material also, they read online and prepared this. So many are available. Only thing is not unit wise, they will be dispersed, but it will be available. But another 1 month, things will be settled. Okay.